So guys, we're here to talk about White Raven, a horror movie which I can't bring myself to come and watch. So you have to tell me a little bit about the plot and what to expect in this film.
Sure, Mox, you wanna?
It's a simple story. It's about four guys who go on an annual camping trip, and one of them's been sort of going a little crazy over the last few years, and this year and on this trip he goes crazy all the way.
Pete, look, man, last night things got a little weird. We're worried about you.
Right. So is that it, or? Pete, we think you need... What? Well, you're out here camping in the woods all by yourself. No way to communicate. That's not healthy. Predictable.
What is?
You fucking guys, I mean... You come out here with your city lives, you think you know me. You don't know shit.
What brings you to want to write something like that?
I think everybody experiences sort of mental illness in one way or another, and people have a way of alienating themselves from a group, and we just kind of turned up the volume on that and made it kind of more extreme version of that. But it's really about the relationships between men and their lack or inability to communicate properly with each other, or sort of the fear of communication, and that's kind of really what the story's about.
You obviously have the characters you want in mind. How do you go about choosing the actor that's going to play that character?
Well, as far as choosing the actor, we kind of did the reverse, which is something, not everyone does, is we had our actors first, and then we kind of wrote the characters based on two things, based on the actors, but also based on characters that we all kind of knew, and I think and things that we wanted to explore. So I think it was kind of a different process in a way, with the exception of Aaron Brooks, we brought in later. He plays Jake. That character was written a completely different way than it was performed. And it kind of changed. It actually made the movie so much better by bringing in an actor. This sort of last piece that we brought in, he kind of turned that character around and really made it his own, and it was kind of interesting to see.
So being a character in this film, how do you go into it not knowing who this character is and develop your own?
Well, yeah, like Mox said, we kind of all had different ideas of the people that we were going to be, and we kind of based them on, some people in our lives or past lives or whatever. But yeah, this guy was, Kevin was kind of like the more straight. He has a kid like I do. Yeah. And he's kind of in that relationship. So in the first act of the movie, you see kind of the guys in their home lives and what they're dealing with at home, and, the need of them to go away and reconnect with their buddies and, get all that stuff off their chest.
How about you? How did you get this character formed to what you needed it to be?
Well, my character, Dan, right off the bat, you can tell something happens, something lands on his lap, and he just turns around and says, "It's not my problem," and walks away. So, he was an interesting guy to play, and I think an interesting sort of character to get into, because there are people out there that are like that. You know what I mean? Yeah.
So I have to ask, because I'm such a wimp, what's it like to go out and film, a horror type movie? Like, do you have issues sleeping at night, or do you just turn it off and that's it?
It was actually the opposite. It was way too much fun. We were all like living in a cabin together, and like every night we'd get home and we'd like sit around the table and we'd all cook together and drink wine and like read the next scenes for the next day. It was like a really awesome, it was a small tight crew, so we got the chance to do that, and I thought that made, the experience of filming a whole lot better, and I assume made the film better,
So a bonding trip that was supposed to happen in the movie but went wrong actually turned out okay for you guys.
Yeah, it went right. But yeah, we had a crew of 3 people. And then, of course, the actors, but these guys being producers, and they wore tons of hats as well. I mean, they were doing everything, like Andrew said. And so there was only 7 of us on the whole production team basically the whole time. So yeah, we were able to luxuriate in that relationship building, right, and team building, right, in a sense is kind of interesting. Whereas on a bigger crew, you don't get that opportunity. You know, there's lots of strangers. So
Now that you've done the Leos, you've been through that whole process. It's been released to iTunes and video on demand in Canada. Something's happening late June in the States. Is that correct?
July 11th is going to be the U.S. release on iTunes and FlixFling and VOD.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
it's not a gore fest.
Okay.
It's a psychological horror.
Oh, okay, that's good.
It goes much deeper. You'll have nightmares and all those kinds of things. So
perfect.
you know.
That's what I hope for.
Therapy sessions and, yeah, just like jump scares.
All right. You know what? Maybe I'm just strange, but I can handle that more.
Okay.
That's yeah.
You
All right.
might never ever want to date a man again, but we'll see. You know.
It could go either way, I guess, right?
I also know which ones to avoid.
That's right.
Yeah.
I kind of need that in my life, so maybe I'll pay attention. I have one more question that I try to ask each of my guests. It's about your socks. You're not wearing any, are you?
0 socks on.
Is that an all the time thing?
No, just hot summer days, I guess. Yeah.
And it doesn't bother you at all?
No, might bother my girlfriend with the smelly shoes or whatever, but yeah. It's nice and cool. Keeps it cool. Shane's the sock guy.
Yeah, I could tell.
I got some like polka dots. I have as I get older, I've always liked getting socks for Christmas as like a practical thing, and then as I get older, I feel like I can throw a little more flair into it because I don't really have a lot of other flair. So the sock is one thing that I do. I'm free for like any sort of style on a sock is good for me.
It's a good way to go, and then it brings attention to your awesome pink shoes. I like it.
Well, this is amazing that you asked questions about socks today. Yeah.
Everybody has a sock story. What's yours?
These are the least interesting socks that I have, and I wish I'd have known.
You do have more interesting
I've
socks?
got better game than this. Yeah, but you know, no holes.
Do they both match?
Yeah, they match.
They're the same shade and everything too. Most guys, not
darker black and
not to generalize.
These are the gray, you know, and I got like a multi-pack, and these were the least interesting of the anyway.
Well, next time. Or even send a picture.
Okay.
I need to see more interesting socks.
I had my rubber ducky ones, and I almost wore them. Oh, next time.
Thanks very much, guys. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
There are things out here.
What, cougars?
No.
What's this? The world's conspiring against you, Pete? The world doesn't give a shit about you. That's why we're here. We're your friends. And we're trying to help.
White Raven.